Hey everybody, Laurel Stark here, and thanks for joining me on my drive home. I'm not actually going home, but it is Friday afternoon and it's rainy here in Victoria, BC, Canada, and I am gonna go for a little drive. I am just leaving downtown. But anyways, the reason I wanted to pop on the interwebs with y'all live is because it's February 16th today, and what that means is that we have generally, if you're anything like me, you've completely ignored your New Year's resolutions, and you're probably snacking on leftover Valentine's Day candy and wondering if 2018 is going to be exactly the same as 2017. And you know what? That's a really crappy feeling, you know, because like days go by and weeks go by and you get caught up in your daily life like we all do, and you just end up like, you know, next thing you know, it's February 16th and everything's exactly the same, and you're not version 2.0 yourself that you had hoped on New Year's or whatever day. And, you know, one of the reasons we make New Year's resolutions is because we're eternally hopeful as a species, right? Like, we have all these dreams of like how we're going to be happier and fitter, and we're joyful and richer and wiser and all these things. But when it comes to actually attaining that, well, that's a whole different story, isn't it? And so that's why I'm jumping on here, because there's a bunch of reasons why we don't end up actually achieving our New Year's resolutions. And in fact, New Year's resolutions are crap. There, I said it. They are crap. They actually do way more harm than good, because here's what happens is we generally aren't specific enough, for one thing. So New Year's resolution usually looks something like, I want to make more money, or I want to lose weight. So that's cool and all, but what happens is it's not specific enough. So what happens is we are stuck with this like vague idea of what it's going to be like to change, and we don't have any sort of system in place to achieve it, so it all just goes to hell. I said it, it goes to hell. So it's actually not really your fault, because what we're usually doing when we're making New Year's resolutions is relying on willpower, and so many studies have shown that willpower doesn't actually work. It's super unreliable, and there's only a finite quantity of it. So they say that you're supposed to do the hardest thing first thing in the morning, for example, because you only have so much willpower, so you got to do the hardest thing first thing. So again, for everybody who's just joining and watching, Laurel Stark, you are on the drive home with me live on Facebook, and we are talking about actually getting shit done, why New Year's resolutions do more harm than good, what we do instead of changing, and how to actually, you know, get that change and become that version 2.0 of ourselves. So relying on willpower doesn't work. Also, what happens is we happen to be sort of like an attention deficit society. If you're like me, and I think you might be a little bit, we usually end up with like 14 books that we're reading, and a couple courses and a program, and, you know, a couple like ebooks or audiobooks on the go, and all these things that we have purchased in order to help us to facilitate our change. And what happens is we get overwhelmed and we don't do anything. That's right. We don't do anything, because it's just so much easier to buy a new book than to actually execute. So there's a difference here. So one is information, so you have all this information about how you can make change in your life. And the second thing is execution, that's actually acting on the information that you have, right? So they're two separate things. It's much, much easier to just keep buying more books and keep signing up for more courses and just stay stuck in that pattern, right? And executing is hard. So also remember that we have the attention span of a goldfish now because of the internet. So if you can identify with this, where you find that you're just like going from like shiny object to shiny object syndrome, and you're just like buying new things all the time, you're not actually, or like watching new YouTube videos, or like opening new emails or Googling things or whatever, like how do I get this done, and not actually acting, it's totally normal, because the internet has given us the attention span of a goldfish. Hi, Manny. And yeah, so it's kind of not your fault, right? Also, change is super hard. It's really, really difficult. So using willpower and having this attention deficit situation make it really, really difficult to make the change. So this is why we don't. What we do instead typically is buy more courses or search more things online. We tend to procrastinate, make excuses, and yeah, it's really, really not your fault. So here's the thing. This is what we need to do instead. So going back to the making more money or losing weight example. So usually when you have a goal, the best thing to do is to write it down, because it activates your subconscious computer. So when you're writing it down, you want to be a little bit more specific though. You want to write down some, like a timeline associated with it. So I want to lose, say, whatever, 10 pounds by June 1st or something like that. So just writing it down and making it time bound increase the odds that you will succeed, because now you have a deadline, right? You've also written it down, so you're activating your subconscious computer. Those are two things that you can do. If you want to take it a step further, you can break down what steps you're going to take, mini steps between now and your deadline in order to achieve your goal. So that's like, this is all super obvious stuff, right? It's just like making a plan. And of course you know that, but we don't do this. Oh, someone's gonna let me in. That's nice. Thank you. So the plan looks a little bit like this. So it's working backwards from your deadline, making milestones. So say, for example, you want to make more money, so you probably want to publish your offer, you probably want to contact more leads, you probably want to post on social media, whatever it is. Say there's like 3 or 4 actions you can be taking every single day to actually create that change. But having a plan is important, and there's 2 parts to the plan. One is the stuff that you need to start doing, and most people know that, but there's also stuff that you need to stop doing. So it's better to have like replacements. So for example, one of the things that I find is tricky is like actually going to bed on time. Like I tend to stay up and just like refresh my email one more time or look at social media one more time, and so I want to go to bed earlier. So what I need to stop doing is playing around on my smartphone, and what I need to start doing is go to bed earlier. So it's 2 things, right? Sorry, it's a little bumpy right now. So the start doing, the stop doing, you got to factor that in. And sometimes you need to replace stuff. So for example, if I don't want to be eating junk food late at night, then A, I need to stop having it in my house, and B, I probably need to buy myself like a nice little fruit snack or something like that to replace it with, right? So start doing, stop doing. And here's the pièce de résistance. This is the thing that will catapult your ability to actually change, and it's an accountability partner. So here's what this is. And again, for all the people joining, hi, Laurel and Stark here. Today we're talking about goal setting, why we abandon our New Year's resolutions, why it's totally normal and not your fault, what we do instead of changing, and what we can do instead to actually make 2018 the year that you rise and claim whatever it is that you want for your life, because it's short, right? It's really, really short. So the accountability partner, this helps us change our environment. So if you can't change yourself, you need to change your environment, and you need to bring in external forces to make you do things differently. A very dramatic example of this, but something that actually really works, is, for example, if you cannot bring yourself to clean your desk, what you could do, in theory, is you could hire someone to come to your house or to your office every Friday and take every piece of paper that you have on your desk and set it on fire. Like, that's super dramatic, right? But you're gonna do it. If you know that someone's coming Friday at 2 o'clock to set all your pieces of paper on your desk on fire, then like you're probably gonna clean your desk. You're gonna file what you need to file, recycle what you need to recycle, you know, get out the Windex and do a fantastic job. So changing your environment, that's what an accountability partner is about. So basically it's somebody that you check in with every single week, and you tell them the 3 things that you're gonna do this week to help you achieve your goal. So why does this work? This works because we are changing your environment, so we're making you accountable to a timeline, a shorter timeline. We're also leveraging shame and peer pressure. So a lot of people won't do anything unless they have to, right? So unless you want to look like a schmuck in front of your accountability partner, then you're gonna actually do what you said you're gonna do, or you're gonna make much more effort than you would before. Otherwise, it really makes it look like you're not a person of your word and that you don't have the ability to actually do what you said you were gonna do, right? So accountability partner is absolutely huge. That will propel you forward. So write down your goal, be specific about it. It should ideally be what they call a SMART goal. So specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, and time bound. So you can Google that and make sure your goal's written down like that. So for me, for example, something I might want to do is like earn an extra $5,000 net per month starting June 1st, right? That's very, very specific. So write it down, make sure it's specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, and time bound. Then what you want to do is work backwards from your deadline and create those milestone steps, so that way you know when you're on your way to achieving your goal. So say if it's money that you want to earn, then you know once you hit like the halfway mark, then you'll know that you're well on your way to getting your long-term goal happening, right? So what do those milestones look like? If you're trying to lose weight, for example, say you want to lose 50 pounds, like, you know, hitting 10 is the first thing you need to do. So it's like baby steps, and we always skip the baby steps because We are such an instant gratification society, and we want stuff now, and that's one of the reasons that New Year's resolutions just get abandoned, because all this stuff takes work and it takes self-discipline, and we don't have the self-discipline muscle. It's not something that comes supernatural or easy to us, right? So we got to build it, and until it's there on its own, we're going to create an environment by which it's forcing us to act as if we have personal discipline. So it's basically the same. So accountability partner, and that's basically my tricks for getting stuff done. Now, another thing that people don't necessarily look at too often, is another one of my tricks to actually achieving your goal, is sit down and write down why. And what's great about this is sometimes the things you think that you want as goals, when you sit down and think about why, you realize it's because you think that you should be into it. Like, for a while there, I was really into buying like lots of different pairs of shoes all the time, you know, and I kind of liked it, but it was more that I felt like I had to. I don't know, it was weird, like, to stay in fashion or whatever. And so when I actually looked at my objective, hi Rita, then I realized that, hey, this is not a goal that I actually care about. It's not something that is important to me in any way, shape, or form. So when you sit down and you look at your goals and you ask yourself why do I want it, as you're writing it down, then it becomes abundantly clear if you're willing to go to extra effort and put in the work it takes to change, or if you actually don't care. So that's really nice, because a lot of times we get super bunged up in our heads about trying to achieve something that we actually don't care about, or that actually doesn't serve us. So writing down why, it also helps you just stay motivated when times are hard, because a lot of times the things we're trying to change are difficult. Like, what got you to the place you are at right now is not going to get you to the next level, to like the version 2.0 of yourself. It's just not possible. You need extra juju, you need extra juice, you need help, you need structure, community, accountability, all these things to actually get it done. And then measuring. So here's the thing, what you don't measure, you can't improve. So a lot of people, they're like, yeah, I have like this plan, I'm just gonna like, whatever, go to the gym like 3 days a week or whatever it is, right? But then you don't actually like look back at your week and see if you actually did it or not. So that's the thing, is you gotta be accountable to yourself and check in and measure and make sure that you are doing the things that you said you were gonna do, and if you are making progress towards your goal, towards your milestones. So for the folks that are just joining us, Laurel and Stark here, talking about why New Year's resolutions don't work, why we usually abandon them by now, which is February 16th, why so many of us are just sitting around eating leftover Valentine's Day candy and like hating ourselves and wondering why is it that 2018 is exactly the same as 2017, but I want it to be better. And we talked a little bit about how willpower is not something that you can rely upon, that if you can't change yourself, you need to change your environment, and you need to create a structure by which it will make you perform. I used an example of, if you want to keep your desk tidy and free of paper, but you can't seem to get it together, hiring someone to come and set fire to all your paper is something that might get your butt into gear, right? That's a big enough motivator. We talked a little bit about how writing down your goals and being specific is a huge deal. It activates your subconscious computer. We talked about using an accountability partner, someone to call and check in with once a week to talk about the things that you're going to do every single week to make that goal happen. Breaking it down into smaller chunks, making that a plan, and writing down the why. Like, why is it that you want to achieve? Now, another thing that I see that folks do a lot that's really not ideal is trying to do too many things at once, or trying to make too many big changes. So for example, myself, I was trying to not eat sugar, and I was also trying to not eat bread. And I love sugar and I love bread. Like, that's the truth of the matter. But, you know, I know that stuff's not good for me, and I was eating a little bit too much of it, and it was, you know, not working for my health or whatever, but it was too many things at once. So I was off bread for a little while, and I tried to get off sugar before the bread thing had really settled, and the next thing you know, I'm eating bread with sugar on it. So yeah, just like, know that change is hard, and that it's, you know, there's gonna be steps to fall, like, you're gonna fall backwards, and you're not necessarily gonna be perfect right away, because you're basically trying to become a different person, right? And if you had the ability to make the change, then you already would have made it. Know what I mean? So I gotta just change lanes here, so just bear with me. Hang on. This person's not gonna let me in. Nope, they're not. It's so cool that you guys are joining me on my drive home. Normally I'm just hanging out here by myself, and you know, today I get to share with you some of the things I've learned being an entrepreneur since 2003, and stuff that I paid a fortune for some of this information. taking like workshops and books and courses and stuff. So I hope that it's super useful for you guys who are looking to make big changes in 2018. And for the folks that are watching, I would love to know what you want to make happen in 2018 for yourself, or like what is a change that you've been struggling with that isn't sticking. What of any of the tips that I've shared sounds like the best one for you to implement, what you might be interested in trying out and seeing if it works in your daily life. I would love to know how this driving live with Miss Laurel is working out for you guys. And yeah, what do you want to make happen in 2018? And have you tried some of these tips that I've shared before or already today, or have you not tried them, and are you willing to try them, or what do you think about that? I gotta tell you, like, implementing all these tips at the exact same time has resulted in dramatic change in my life. So a couple like bad habits that I kicked, I quit drinking. That was really hard. I quit smoking. That was also really hard. I've modified my business in a whole bunch of different ways that was like really, really scary, just for when I stopped taking paper. And my clients hated that. They really, really hated that. So that took a little bit of doing, right? So it's like reinforcing your commitment and not relying on willpower necessarily. So for all you folks that are out there and you want to, hi Lisa, I haven't seen you in so long. So we're talking about goal setting, and we were talking about goal achievement, more like it, and why New Year's resolutions don't work and they actually harm us. And the reason that they really harm us is because they really erode our self-esteem, right? If you say to yourself every single year on New Year's, like, right, that's it, this is the year, I'm gonna lose 50 pounds and I'm gonna do a triathlon, and then 2017 rolls around and we're in 2018, you say to yourself again on New Year's, this is what I'm gonna do, and every year you like don't end up doing it. It feels really bad. You start to feel like a loser. Well, I know I do. I start to feel like a loser. Like, why can't I just get my shit together and make this change happen, But because it's relying on willpower it's not a good way to do it. Willpower doesn't actually work. It's a finite resource and it's unreliable. So in order to change yourself in a way that's uncomfortable, you need to create a structure so that way you are accountable to other people. So Lisa, who's watching right now, has helped me so much with this. She was my coach for a while, and I had to call and talk to Lisa once a week and tell her what I did to progress towards my goals that week. And you know what? Without fail, I would look at that piece of paper, all the things that I said that I would do, and it'd be like, I talked to her on Friday, and it'd be like Thursday, and I'd be like, oh God, I haven't done any of those things. And I really didn't want to let Lisa down. I didn't want her to think that I was like, a loser. And I also like one of those things for myself, but I'll be honest, like, knowing that I was going to talk to her got my butt in gear way more than anything else. So accountability partner is huge. And also I talked a little bit about writing down your goal, making sure it's specific. So it's got very specific numbers associated with it, including a timeline, working backwards from that timeline to figure out what the milestones are, or what the baby steps are, looking at what things that you can create as habits in your daily life, what those baby steps are that you can incorporate into your daily life, looking at measuring your results, like what does success actually look like? Because that's the thing too, is people are like, I just want to make more money. It's like, okay, well, how much? Like $1? Is $1 more going to be good enough for you? And also, how do you know if you're like getting there, right? If you're not measuring it. So measurement's super, super important as well. Also, not beating yourself up if you can't make the change happen, because we're gonna fall backwards. Change is really difficult. It's much easier to just stay the same and make a bunch of excuses and, just sit in our comfy little rut. Like I heard somebody say the other day, and I laughed so hard, but it's like, it's nice and warm inside our own shit, right? It's so gross. It's a gross little thing to say, but it's true. It's like nice to just stay comfy. And our brains don't like change. We're not wired that way. So it's way easier to just pick up the next book, search some other thing on YouTube, distract yourself, buy another online course, and just keep spinning your wheels and getting super overwhelmed with all this information and not actually doing anything, because that's the hardest part, is actually doing something. So please let me know in the comments what it is you're committed to changing in 2018, what you're committed to creating in your life and in your business. If you're working in your own business, which one of the tips that I shared here today you think is your favorite, which one you might use. I would love to know, because I am super committed to your success. I want to share with you the 15 years worth of knowledge I've accumulated through trial and error and lots of expense. I want to share it with you to save you a little bit of a learning curve. Again, my name is Laurel Ann Stark. I'd love to see what you have to say in the comments, and I'm going to be launching in spring. I'm probably going to do a free like a free little accountability course. I don't know, I haven't decided yet, but I'm definitely launching in spring a group accountability program, which I'm super excited about. So if you're interested in that, if you go to my Facebook page, actually I'll post the link after, but if you go to my Facebook page and click on the cover link, there's a link there. It's called The Rising Tide, This is the Year You Rise. And it's totally about me having your back and making sure that I'm here to keep you accountable to making that kind of big change in your life that you want to make, right? Because life is short, right? It's Friday, February 16th, and you know, before you know it, it's going to be summer, and before you know it, it's going to be fall, and then next thing you know, it's going to be 2 years later, and you're still going to be in the exact same spot. Or you can create that life that you really want to create, right? It just takes work, and that's the thing, is a lot of people aren't willing to do the work, or to be uncomfortable, or to like go outside the norm of what they're used to in their day-to-day. So that's why. Those are all the reasons why we don't change. And you know what? It's okay. Change is hard. It is really hard. So anyways, I'm going to sign off, you guys. Thanks for joining me on my drive live with Miss Laurel on the drive on Friday. I hope you all have a really fantastic weekend and that you get up to something fun. For me, I don't even know what I'm going to do this weekend, but I will definitely have fun. And again, please tell me, what are you going to create in your life in 2018? Just post in the comments which one of my success tips are your favorite. And yeah, I look forward to doing this again. Also, please let me know if you like this live drive video thing. I think I might start doing it regularly. I don't know, it depends on your feedback. Let me know. Okay, bye.